It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? Showtime! Geno Jones, showtime. That's right. I know. No introduction needed, right? You say, hey, G, we can see this big-ass sign. Stevie Wonder could see it. Monday through Friday, yes, we're back 5 days a week. Hockey season is over. NBA Finals. Well, the hockey season here in Charleston, South Carolina. Stanley Cup Finals, actually. Hockey begins on Tuesday, tomorrow. We're live Monday, June 1st. Brand new day, brand new week, brand new month. And the NBA Finals start this Wednesday, June 3rd. Now, Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. 6:30 p.m. Central Time, 4:30 p.m. on the West Coast. Everybody like, share, and subscribe to the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel. Click on that subscribe button. Don't cost you nothing, but we will be so grateful, and it is so important that we support Black-owned media. Nobody's going to tell our story better than us, and people don't even want our story to be told. They don't even want us to exist, period, or have a story. They are doing everything they can to erase us and our history and us, period, as people. But it can't happen. And they know it can't happen. That's what freaks them out. But I digress. Go back, look at some of my monologues. We talk about that. Let's kick the show off. As a matter of fact, this week, we call it a Meet the Candidates week here on the Geno Jones Show. So coming up, a dear friend of mine, he has been in public, he's been in government, and a public servant for, I've been here 20 years. And he was doing it even before I met him. But those are part of the Geno Jones Show family. It's been watching for 5.5 years. I've been here 5.5 years. He ran for mayor, as a matter of fact, a couple of years ago. Brother Clay Middleton. He's going to be running to be a member of the South Carolina House of Representatives, District 116. We will see him on camera shortly. But yes, today is June 1st. Shout out to my Geminis. Stand up, Geminis. Happy birthday to comedian, my man Mark Curry, who, as a matter of fact, he is out on tour because Cat Williams on his tour, he has like a group of comedians that he has to come out with him. Mark Curry is one of them. This brother named Red Grant is another one. And from time to time, Monique will go out with him. One year when the Cat came here, Monique was actually on the show with him, or part of the team or stable of comedians. Now, if you're old school, back to the 90s, I believe the 90s, there was a TV show for a minute called Hanging with Mr. Cooper. This is my man Mark Curry was Mr. Cooper. He was a school teacher. Holly Robinson Pete, she was on there with him. So Mark Curry is 65 today. Happy birthday. And Morgan Freeman, one of the iconic actors, Gemini, celebrating a birthday today at 89. Prayers go up for South Carolina native, R&B icon, R&B legend, balladeer extraordinaire, Peabo Byrson. Recently had a stroke. He's 75. I believe several years ago, he had a stroke. So we want to lift Peabo up in prayer, those who believe in the power of prayer, or even if you don't, just positive vibes and love and light and healing for Brother Peabo Byrson. So those prayer warriors, make sure that you put Peabo Byrson on the list for prayers for you prayer warriors. Don't forget about Brother Peabo Byrson. Rest in power to he's not a young man. As a matter of fact, he was 64. He just joined the Ancestors. But he was a young man back in the early 70s. He was a member of a family group. They were like a rival to the Jacksons. They're from California, called the Sylvers. Foster Sylver. He was the second youngest. Foster Sylvers, his older brother. I think Leon may have been the oldest. Leon Sylvers, iconic R&B producer. He produced hits for the Whispers and Shalimar and a whole lot more. So back in the early 70s, Foster Sylvers was rivaling Michael Jackson. He actually did like a solo album. He had some solo hits separate from his brothers. And he was, back in, I think, 73, he had a hit called Misdemeanor. Dun, 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 it's just a misdemeanor. Dun, 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 dun. I'm humming the melody because I can't remember all the lyrics way back in the day. But that was the jam. Just go ahead, Google right here or YouTube, misdemeanor, misdemeanor, like MISDEA or MISDEMEA, and a misdemeanor, like not a felony, a misdemeanor. That was the song. So Foster Sylvers passed over the weekend. He died from complications from pancreatic cancer. He was only 64. And that big hit way back in the day. He was 11 years old, young buck. Little kids. And I remember being a little kid. Who was his little kid singing this song? But it was a jam. We remember that song back in the day, Misdemeanor. And he had a couple other hits as a solo artist, Foster Sylvers. And like I said, he was part of the group. The family was like, I think 10 of them in the family. So rest in power to one Foster Sylvers. So Jay-Z fans, I saw your man who took his dreads out, picked out his fro. He had this big giant afro. Looked like he was one of the Sylvers from back in the day. Giant, kind of dusty looking dude. He should throw some of that. Y'all should have put some of that, give him that blackout. Spray some of that blackout in there. So shout out to Jay-Z. He was rocking his afro at this legendary Roots picnic, the iconic R&B group called The Roots. They're from Philly, and for years now they've been doing this Roots picnic, and it's really kind of, it really started off like a community vibe, almost kind of like almost like Afro punk kind of vibe. Is a little different now. No shade, it's just different because more corporate. I guess you need money, so they like we can't afford to pay for all this. We need a sponsor, but anyway, they still do the picnic. So the big Roots at the annual, I think 1 or 2 years because of COVID, they suspended it, but it's back, and Jay-Z made an appearance, and it's all over social media. I'm sure you can find it here on YouTube. Supposedly he went in on Nicki Minaj, Miss Wannabe Pick Me, Miss MAGA Pick Me, along with Amber Rose, but he didn't mention Amber, but he threw a shot at Nicki, Miss Minaj, Onika, MAGA Queen, and threw a little shot at Drake. And speaking of MAGA wannabe, Prince or King Kanye, threw a little shot at him. So if you haven't checked it out, it's somewhere. You can find it on YouTube. All right, so once again, shout out to all of my. Here in South Carolina, this is the final week of early voting, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m., which is kind of ironic because 8:30 a.m. until 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. What's happening Monday through Fridays from 8:30 a.m. until 5 p.m.? The majority of people actually are at work. But hey, black folks showed up. We showed up and showed out. Because, work or not, we took lunch break, a long lunch break, some PTO, whatever. We made sure we voted. Remember, Election Day is June 9th, a week from tomorrow, Tuesday, if you're watching the show live Monday. That's late voting. So Election Day voting is CP voting, CP time voting. Don't play around, don't take a chance. Let's vote early. We've broken all kind of records, and the African-American turnout, because that's what happens when you got races in state legislators that are doing everything they can to completely take away black voting power. You piss black people off, and you wake them up. Where if you'd have just left well enough alone, you effed around and found out. And even the black folks that were apathetic on the couch, they're like, wait a minute, hold on, what? Y'all doing what? And shout out to the students at South Carolina State University, especially the class of 2026. They really set the tempo, how they rejected the MAGA queen, Pamela Vet, that's running for governor. And it was like, no, what you're not doing is you're not going to speak at our commencement. No, because MAGA and all the hatred and bigotry and just eliminating black people, period. Black progress, everything. Anti-DEI means anti-black. And these young people were smart enough. They're like, no. You, what you're not going to do, you have nothing to say to us. We don't want to hear it. So just stay in Columbia, wherever you are, but don't bother coming to our campus at South Carolina State University in Orangeburg. So shout out to them. And then just, those MAGA politicians, they want to change the rules. Like, ballots that already went out overseas. Our men and women are members of the military, our family members and neighbors. So, like I said, I embrace it. Listen, show us who you are. And Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe them. So no, let your freak flag fly, and with the freak flag of bigotry and hatred and misogyny and sexism and anti-blackness. No, don't hide it. Say it with your full chest. Stand 10 toes down. So we know. And as Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe them. So these people have shown you. So believe them. And now what do? You show up and show out. Speaking of voting, once again, early voting is going on now. It was over for today, Monday, Tuesday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. until 5:30. Ironically, you would think early voting, you would think that at least one day during the weekend, if not both days. Why would you not allow people to vote on the weekends for early voting when the majority of people are off work? If you want people to vote, make it convenient for them to vote when they have free time. Why do you make it so hard? You eliminate voting on the off days for the majority of people in South Carolina or anywhere. But you set up voting hours during the times that the majority of people are at work. But how did that work out? Voter suppression. You do what you want to do when you want to do it bad enough. That's what Conway Jones, my grandfather, taught me. And that's what black people and just a fair-minded people who lean into humanity and not inhumanity and hate of all backgrounds, but specifically black folks in South Carolina, since we were directly targeted. So I'm really proud of the culture and the community. So we're not done. We ain't done. Now go grab 25 folks that haven't voted yet and get them to the polls, rent these party buses to all the pastors, all the pastors in the churches, put those church buses to good use. All these folks that own these party bus companies, instead of going to Essence Festival, you can do that, or going to Charlotte or Atlanta. Let's get those party buses full of people going to the polls. And one of the people that you will be voting for is my next guest. He has been a public servant. He's worked in government on so many levels, local, state, federal. He's worked with Congressman James Clyburn, who they tried to redraw his district and draw him out, but psych, wrong answer. And he ran for mayor of Charleston, South Carolina. He's still doing God's work in terms of being a public servant, and he is running to be the next representative in South Carolina in the South Carolina State House, District 116. Without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, there he is, one Clay Middleton. My brother, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Geno. Good to be with you again.
Good to have you, man. How have you been? I haven't seen you in a minute. I know you've been, like as always, boots on the ground, putting that work in.
Yeah, no, I've been crisscrossing this district for the last few months, and it's been great. And as you said in your opening, this is the second week, the last week, full week of early voting, 8:30 to 5 p.m.
It's kind of ironic, Clay. You heard me mention that. You would think, in theory, you would want all eligible voters to participate in their own democracy. It's we the people. I mean, so, this is our government. We, the people, we elect when we show up. Politicians are actually public servants, and you know that well. They actually work for us. But it's amazing to when you have some who, when they get in power, it's like, well, we don't really want everybody to vote. And some have been very open, who openly said, no, well, we don't want everybody to vote. But it's, why even have a democracy if you don't want to have everybody vote? I mean, that's just, you know, that's just my little editorial, my commentary. But it's just so ironic that, you know, you would have voting set up and limit it to a window to where the majority of voters or potential voters would be inconvenienced because they are working. And on weekends, when the majority of people who work have that time off. But that's just an observation. But
Well,
listen,
we've
mhm,
seen record numbers of early voting because people were very much motivated at the Republican majority in the South Carolina General Assembly want to do a mid-decade redistricting. But we also see that early voting in South Carolina does work very well and is something that is being looked at to expanding. Now, when we have presidential primaries, those elections are held on a Saturday, not during the week, but one day those elections are held. South Carolina does not have same day voter registration either. So there are a number of things that can be done from a legislative perspective to make sure that more people vote, to include having Saturday being part of early voting, also having more than the 7 early voting sites that we do have here in Charleston
excellent
County.
point. Yeah.
Uh, every county by law needs to have at least one, but there is a maximum that they could have under current law. So, but all those things being equal, there were still record number of people that turn out and voted. We don't register by party in South Carolina, but you go in, you say, I want the Democratic ballot or Republican. And right now we're looking at about 83% of Democrats came out across the state to cast their ballot early.
Wow, that's amazing, and it just goes to something that I've been saying for many years, is that we've got the power, and
Yeah.
when we collectively understand that we can change the trajectory of the state of this country, and we can lean into humanity and empathy and compassion and make sure that people have a living wage, and everybody should be able to go to a doctor if they're sick, or be able to take their children, or make sure that their parents or grandparents, and have whatever make sure that the Medicare and the Social Security that you paid into, it ain't a gift, it's your money, it's our money, we paid
Right.
into it, that you're able to get that. So and then I remember it wasn't that long on, there was a time where you could vote on Sundays. I remember the Souls to the Polls, where people would get together. A lot of churches would have kind of organized, and after their service, they would, get basically take the congregation, either they walk or take church bus or whatever, and go vote. So, but give us, Clay, give us your why. Like I said, you've worked in government and been
Yeah.
a public servant for a while. So, what's your why for wanting to be the representative up in Columbia in our state house for this?
So, House Seat 116 is a seat once held by the late McKinley Washington Jr. And Curtis Nabnett Sr. and Robert Brown and Shardell Murray. And for the last 4 years, there's been a void in leadership and a void in true public servant in House Seat 116. And the issues in this urban and rural corridor of 116 is lacking in a lot of things, whether it's the quality of life, affordability, accessibility, healthcare, public schools, especially the funding that's needed for our rural schools and our rural communities. So I'm running in order to win. I'm running in order to take this seat back and put it back not only into the Democratic column, but giving the power back to the people so they can have someone with experience and someone that can hit the ground running on day one to fight for them, their community, their family, and for a generation yet born. So that is my why. My why is that I'm not pleased, and a whole bunch of other folks are not pleased as well with the current leadership. I say leadership, but it's really the current person that occupies this seat. Charlie Murray, many would remember, ran for this seat 2 years ago. And Charlie, he lost, but really we lost as a community. We lost that seat by 592 votes, which is about 37 votes per precinct in 116. So the reality is that when Charlie said he wasn't going to run again, I called him to confirm what I heard out in the street, and Charlie said, "No, I'm not. I'm not going to run. I'll keep the conversation between he and I private unless he decides to talk about it." But after Charlie said he wasn't going to run, then I began to talk to other people in the district, people that wanted to find a candidate. So this started for me last October,
Okay.
talking to people that was looking for a candidate to win. And when you talked about earlier in your monologue about the Republican supermajority, the fact remains that this seat, 116, is the most flippable seat we have in South Carolina. Fact, not opinion. We are 7 seats away from breaking the supermajority in the South Carolina General Assembly. And this seat, 116, is the number one seat that we can flip in South Carolina in order to prevent the super Republican majority from having this way, as we've seen in recent weeks, their attempt to do a mid-decade redistricting.
Clay, you were saying in this conversation earlier that you wanted to go, I'm paraphrasing it, you wanted to go to the state capitol to do the work of the people. So I want to know, because I know that you've always been, like I said, boots on the ground, in the culture, in the community, uh,
Yeah.
with the people. I mean, not just when there's an election, when there's not an election, no cameras around. So what are the people of District 116 telling you? What are the marching orders that the people in District 116 have given you to take to Columbia and get done for them?
It's been resources from an affordability and accessibility standpoint. For example, here in House District 116, there are many needs that exist in the rural communities. And we do have an issue with overdevelopment and bad development that is taking place, which places a strain on our infrastructure. So the marching orders has been clear to go to Columbia and fight for us. Go to Columbia and make sure that we have a partner that's going to work with Darlene Dunmeyer Robeson, who's on the school board. And how do we ensure that rural communities, rural schools get their fair share? Making sure that when you have neighborhoods, and I can name them all, that are dealing with development and dealing with bad development, and people really just trying to take over, they're saying, do not let that happen. Make sure that there's a legislative, because there's two parts of this. There's a legislative agenda and there's a leveraging agenda. We can legislate things regarding growth as it relates to our infrastructure, as it relates to our public schools, as it relates to healthcare. Again, in South Carolina, we have nearly 400,000 of our fellow citizens, 400,000 that do not have health care because of Medicaid expansion not being here. The mandate from 116 is, guess what? There are literally thousands of residents in 116 without health care because the state of South Carolina, the Republican majority, do not want to expand Medicaid. That's a problem.
Yeah.
You have public schools in 116 whose students go to school hungry and the Republican majority refused to offer free breakfast to these students, even breakfast that you could opt into or opt out of, right?
That's crazy.
So the folks at 116 have been very clear. These are problems, and we trust you with your experience, with your background, with your focus, with how you could legislate and leverage in order to deliver for us. And all parts of 116 is very unique, whether it's water law that's saying, hey, no city water, no water here. All right, get water here, then all of Waterloo really is going to go to development. You have rural gentrification there, similar to the gentrification we've seen in the city of Charleston downtown. All right, so stand in the gap for that. Be a partner with us on that. And from out in Edisto Beach and Edisto Island, that's how far the district spans of saying there are activities that are needed right here in our community for our young people, and very limited activities exist right now. So who is going to be the fighter? Who is going to legislate and leverage solutions for us? They've been very clear, and I've been very open and honest with them that I am going to win this seat, and this is not about Clay Middleton. This is about the people of 116 and returning it back to them, where we actually have someone that people could talk to, could work with in order to make a difference. That's what we're focusing on, these quality of life issues.
Yeah, I was going to say, Clay, drill down on the development issue, break it down, and
Sure.
for those who may not be as familiar with political jargon, because when you think of development, a lot of times you mentioned gentrification. You have builders coming in and families that have been in these neighborhoods for decades,
Right.
coming in basically pushing folks out, which is connected to affordable housing. Even though we didn't use that term, but I wanted to kind of connect the two and let you speak to your plan to. You
Sure.
already talked about fighting the development, but you break it down, and if you can't tie it into your plan to fight to create a partner with whoever to get more affordable housing in the district.
Sure. So, as it relates to development, and we have to keep in mind the various types. So, for a community like Guatemala, they're very clear that no development here. We're not for sale. If you have city water into Guatemala, that is the end of the fabric of that community, because development will then become very, very rampant. And those that have been there for generations would now be forced to leave because of prices. So it goes back to something very basic as relates to heirs property and making sure that you do have a clear title to one's property. In South Carolina, there's been some reform into heirs property, but there is more that must be done so that heirs have resources to better plan how they could use their land to make money. That's one thing.
Let me
The
pause
other
you
part,
for one
sure.
second, Clay, because then when you say the community of Guatemala, the town of Guatemala, they don't want city water to come in. So what does that mean? Because where does where do the residents of Guatemala get their
So they, they,
water?
they have water, they
Hmm.
have wells. If you provide city water to Guatemala, those taps in essence, then people that live there still have to pay to what? Tap into the water taps.
So where's the city
That's
water?
something.
Where's that coming from, though?
No, the water they have well water in Guatemala,
Okay.
and they've had that since day one.
Oh wow. Okay.
So in 1987, they created their own. It's not a town, but the community
Okay.
of Guatemala started to say we are going to control our own destiny as it relates to how Guatemala is going to look. And they've been very diligent and very focused on doing that. They need a partner in Colombia to make sure that they are protected. Now, when you look at a community like Ravenel, which is going to have about 6,000 new homes, development, most people may not remember this, but Mead West Vaco, they sold their land 20 years ago, and we are seeing that land being developed now. So the future calls for nearly 6,000 new homes being built in Ravenel. So how could urban and rural coexist? How could new community and generational community coexist? It's all about the infrastructure. And it's all about making sure that you have a legislature that understands that the South Carolina Rural Authority has resources, more is needed for not only just 116, but all rural communities in South Carolina. How do you work with the local government, whether it be Charleston County, whether it be the town of Hollywood, the town of Ravenel and Megget, as it relates to development and the resources that are needed from an infrastructure perspective now? How is that needed? And even when you look at a community like Red Top, which is a settlement community, over 20 years ago, the development of Long Savannah promised them $1 million. 20 years ago, they hadn't seen a penny of that yet. So how do you, as a legislature, leverage that position to provide what is right for the people of Red Top? So these are some of the things that we have to focus on. These are the things that the community of 116 has been very, very clear about. So we don't go at this with just talking points. We go at this with solutions. We go at this working with the community, working with the residents of 116 to solve problems and create opportunities for today and a generation yet born. The other thing that I hear, because 116 is also unique, that the majority of the residents are over 65.
Oh, wow.
So that being said, how do we address the affordability needs of our senior citizens? And from a legislative perspective, there's things that we can do that will lower the cost of prescription drugs that our seniors pay. These are things that we come ready to do on day one. And that is why I'm running for this seat. That is why the people of 116 said that we need leadership. We need someone with the experience that can hit the ground running on day one, because our issues that are being dealt with span the gamut. And if we're not careful in these serious times, if we're not careful, we will be going backwards, not forward. That is a fact, not an opinion.
Oh, yeah, because
see that.
Folks
we see that right now
on every level, definitely state and in D.C., doing everything they can to take us back pre-Civil War, but that's not going to happen. So, all right, listen, I thank you, brother, for your time. I want you to let everybody know where, if they want to learn more about you and your campaign,
Sure.
if they want to volunteer, campaigns need money. If they want to provide any kind of financial support, give us all the information, social media platforms. But before you do that, I want you to give your pitch.
Yeah.
Too many times, or in a lot of the recent elections, it's probably been going on. Not probably. I know it's been going on for decades. I think of 2024, just the whole, because it was a national election and you had local races. The biggest voting block, you know very well, Clay, is the couch, the non-voter.
Yeah.
So I want you to, here we are, you and I are taking a journey. We're going to take a walk. We're going to hit the barbershops and the beauty salons, as he called them back in the day, the hair salons. Speak to that non-voter, that brother that says, well, these politicians don't care about me or give a damn about me. The non-voter, the brother and the sister, tell them not only why they should vote, but why they should vote for you, and the first thing that you're going to do for them on day one when you win, when you go to Columbia.
I have asked that question to a group of people that did not vote 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago. And I've been into communities under the tree asking that very same question. And each of them have said that they have lost faith, hope, trust, and confidence into those that are asking for their vote. And they say, well, Clay, you're a bit different because you came here and no judgment. Some had their red cups. Uh, and I said, no, don't hide the red cup. Come as you are. And some had a strong odor. And I said, hey, it's fine with me. It doesn't matter. But the point of this was to truly go where these individuals are. And in doing so, they honestly just said, hey, we're just tired of it. We lost trust, faith, and confidence in those that are asking for a vote. And what makes you different? I said, one, I'm just here to listen to you. No speech, just here to listen. And through that process of listening, God gave us 2 ears for a reason. Just listen. And every single time they came back and said, you know what, I'm going to give you a chance because you actually listen. You listen to what we had to say. You answered our questions and you provided more information in our time together than I've ever had in any interaction in years. So that's what I have always done before social media. This is ingrained in me. And what I tell people of 116 or when I raised my hand 26 years ago in defense of this nation as a private first class, and now as a lieutenant colonel promotable, I tell folks the soldier's creed says, I will not leave a fallen comrade behind. And as your representative, as your voice, I would not leave any resident, neighborhood, or community behind. That is Clay Middleton through and through. This is Clay Middleton running for office or not. This is Clay Middleton before social media. This is who I am. So when I say those things and when I show those things, the reaction I get is, we got your back. All right. And I have those.
Well, tell them, speaking of, since you're talking about having your back, that's a perfect segue for those who want to have your back in terms of a volunteer, or if they want to support the campaign financially or just learn more, phone banking. You need all kind of volunteers and everything else. Give everybody the contact information where they can go and learn more and support your campaign.
ClayMiddleton.com, ClayMiddleton, ClayMiddleton.com. You can learn more, very specific of what the platform is and what we would do, as well as all our social media channels is Clay in Middleton.
In is in like New York, in like New York.
Yes, yes.
New York is NY, but yes. And I'm not a Knicks
fan.
fan.
In November.
Yeah, in November. There you go. I'm not a Knicks fan, but I might be rooting. I always root for the black man in the leadership position. So even though I think the Spurs coach, I think he's a brother too, but Mike Brown, I'm not a Mike Brown fan, but I'm like, all right, dude, you know what? Come on, brother.
It should be a great series.
Yeah.
It should be a great series.
Get that ring, Mike. Go rep for the culture. Go on and get that ring.
It'll be a great series.
Clay, thank you. Once again, early voting. You have 4 more days, everybody. Four more days of early voting: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 8:30 a.m. until 5 p.m. Then Election Day next Tuesday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Yes.
Early voting is voting on time. Election for me. This is Geno. I'm just putting you up on game, everybody. Voting on Election Day is like this CP time, showing up CP time. Don't take a chance. It could rain. It's a little early for hurricanes, but you just never know. You don't know what kind of chicanery. You never know. Things happen. Folks phone in threats, and then the power's out. The Wi-Fi doesn't work, so don't take any chance. Show up like you've been showing up. Vote early. Let your voice be heard. Clay Middleton, thank you, brother. Love and respect to you and your beautiful family, man. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right. All right. Clay Middleton. Good brother. He's been putting that work in. Like I said, everybody, he has been out in these streets for a while. I've been watching the way he moves also. So we have a plethora. So, I mean, we have an abundance of really brilliant people who are really committed to the community and the culture to choose from. So you choose the person that you believe will go to Columbia and truly represent you and work for you. So, and a lot of folks have already done it, but let's continue to show up. Don't wait till next Tuesday. Nah, don't take these folks are playing games and they're not trying to hide it. They're playing games in your face, telling you they don't want your ass to vote. In so many words. We're going to change the rules. We're going to redraw these districts because we don't want you to have any power. So they pissed off a lot of black folks here, but now for the folks that's voted, now it's time for you to go get 25 folks and get them to vote. Thank you for letting me. And shout out to everybody in the great conversation in my chat room. I didn't get a chance to shout everybody out, but thank you always. And you can leave your comments. If you have any comments, you can leave your comments in the comments section below. This show is interactive when I'm on camera live. If you do have a question, just jump in that chat room and you can type in your question. If you want me to shout you out, your birthday or whatever it is, I got you. Just jump in the chat room and type it in there and post it, and we'll read it. I'll address it and read it right here on camera. But after the show, just go to my YouTube channel, or when you go back and watch this recorded episode, because this show is recorded live, leave your comments in the comments section below. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you, and you, especially you, God, most of all. Thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show live. So we'll be back live Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Shout out to Allie Jones, the official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the show. You can check her and her Lexi Jones collection out, lx.ncl_. Shout out to Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show. You can check him out on Instagram, KELBE, Kelby Cutting Up, KELBECUTTINUP, Kelby Cutting Up. Your support, financial support, your support with your views and your clicks and your comments and your likes is crucial. But so is your dollars, so is your money, your financial support, supporting black-owned media. It is crucial that we have our own black-owned media where we can speak truth to power, or as my grandmother said, tell the truth and shame the devil, because people want to erase our history, our voices. They want to erase us, and that is not going to happen. But one of the ways to make sure that it won't happen is that we have to support black-owned media, have independent voices that's not controlled by, because really the MAGA corporate control of your regular corporate, they call it media, it's corrupted. So you really can't even mess with them. So if you want the truth, this is one of the platforms to get the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Before I'll lie to you, I won't say a thing. I'll just shut up. But that's one thing I'm not going to do. You may not like it or how I give it to you, but as I know, and if I'm wrong, if I make a mistake, I'll be the first one to raise my hand and say, my bad, I apologize, I'm sorry, and make sure that I atone and correct the mistake. You can financially support the show via Zelle or Cash App. Zelle, use my email address, Geno Jones Show. That's how you spell it, no the. Geno Jones Show, all one word. Geno Jones Show at Gmail. Cash App, $, Dad G Jones. That's all one word. $ capital D, lowercase a-d, capital G-J, lowercase O-N-E-S, Dad G. Jones. That's on Cash App. No amount is too small or too large. Thank you again, everybody. Thank you. Shout out to Clay Middleton. He is a candidate, one of the candidates running for South Carolina House District 116. This is the week. It is Meet the Candidates week. We're working on getting some other candidates who want to say they want to come on this week. So I'll let you know. They show up, they'll be here. So anyway, please like, share, subscribe, copy the link, copy and paste this link in an email, a text message. Let's make this episode, like you do every episode, go viral. Thank you. I love you. Love is a verb. The dictionary says love is a noun. Real love, like Mary J. Blige says, real love. Real love is a verb. It is an action word. Show your love. And I love you. See you Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Central Time. Chicago, stand up. I see you 6:30. Live in Los Angeles, Las Vegas, up in Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of The Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.